to turnover ratio. They're also 4th in assists. They have to be composed on the offensive end.
Off we go, Angel, tipping off this first game of the evening session. Georgia Tech and Duke.
This game comes down to the Georgia Tech backcourt. That's the game plan. Because Duke's going to play defense, and Georgia Tech's going to have to be able to bring enough counters, take care of the basketball, and they're going to have to be able to score and execute because the possessions are going to be number.
Duke executing beautifully on their first offensive possession. Jaden Donovan, one of several freshmen who've made a big impact this year for a very young Blue Devil team. There's a Georgia Tech starting 5. Tonie Morgan, Kara Dunn, both having tremendous seasons, leading the way for this Georgia Tech team. Ashlyn Jackson spotting up the 3, around and out.
This is an athletic, long, and a very connected group on the defensive end that communicates. See, they're going to hard hedge ball screens, and right away, the roll to the rim has got to be completed. Here comes another hedge. Watch the big jump out.
This is Tonie Morgan, and look what she has to go into. 3 Blue Devil defenders. That snuffs that attack. There's your starting 5 for the Duke Blue Devils. Travel turns it over. You see Taina Mayer, number 22, transfer from Boston College. Ashlyn Jackson has really been improving as the season has gone on for Kara Lawson. And Reagan Richardson, they're all ACC second-team selection this year.
Richardson coming off a 1-for-9 shooting game against North Carolina. I expect her to put it on the bounce and get to the rim early.
Duke with a 7 seed, able to earn a bye, not have to play on day 1 of the ACC tournament. Georgia Tech off on the 3-point attempt from Dunn, but the offensive rebound scooped up by Blackshear. Dunn off the glass and in.
Good rebound on the weak side by Blackshear. She really held her ground until the ball was over her head. Then she released to go get it.
Turnover. It's back-to-back possessions, turning the ball over for the Blue Devils. That's been a problem for this young team all season long.
And if Georgia Tech can get some early offense before Duke gets locked in the quarter court, they'll look to score quickly.
Dunn, sophomore from Dallas, Georgia, all ACC second-team pick this year. Batted out of bounds. It'll stay with Georgia Tech. Kara Lawson in her 4th season, building this program, really excited about this young group that she has. A lot of freshmen and sophomores, the core of this Duke team. Great class coming in as well.
She told us the youngest team in the league. They lost a lot last year, 7 of their top 9.
Shot clock at 1, and that did not hit the rim. Maybe it did. Georgia Tech allowed to keep possession. Didn't look initially like it caught rim. So tough to get the look you want against this Duke defense. Inez Nogueiro now over to Sydney Johnson, and shot clock violation this time for sure. Nell Fortner knows she's got her work cut out for her against this Duke team. Her team went on the road, played at Duke January 14th. Duke won that game 84-46.
Yeah, you take that film and you rip it up, you burn it, you drop it under the bus on the way out of town. You forget about it because it doesn't matter at this point.
Jackson swings it back over to Donovan. McDonald's All-American loses it in the paint. Open look for Nogueiro.
Another offensive rebound and bucket for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, a couple of added possessions thanks to the offensive glass. Kayla Blackshear taking advantage that time.
Georgia Tech showing some zone in this possession.
Mayer dishes off to Kennedy Brown. Really nice stop.
Screen and roll in the middle of 3rd. That's the size factor. Kennedy Brown at 6'6". Georgia Tech doesn't have anyone on the floor to match up with her size in the middle.
Inez Morero, a sophomore out of Spain. Several student athletes from Spain on this Georgia Tech team. Some international experience coming in. Another offensive rebound. Dunn keeping it herself. And take care of the basket on the other end.
Watch, Kennedy Brown's going to set the screen right here, and she's going to roll right off this screen. This is a beautifully well executed, right? Here she comes off the screen. Good catch, good finish through contact.
Pull up from the free throw line for Reagan Richardson, leading scorer for the Blue Devils. That won't go, but the follow-up does.
That's just raw athleticism by Donovan, just to swipe Dunn out of the way and grab that rebound.
Now the numbers may be down a little from the expectations that were so sky high for Jaden Donovan, but has really gotten some high praise from Kara Lawson as Tonie Morgan takes it to the basket and is fouled.
Tonie Morgan can bully her way to the bucket all game against Mayer, the point guard. She's got size and strength over this matchup right here. And even though Duke switches, when that happens and Tonie Morgan sees that matchup, I expect her to put it on the floor.
Well, Georgia Tech coming in after a win against the Pitt Panthers yesterday, 73-60, the final score in that one. 4 Georgia Tech players in double figures, led by Morgan's double-double. She had 24 points, 11 rebounds.
She may be one of the more unsung point guards in this league, and a league full of great point guards. She's been fantastic all season. She's tough.
Richardson. It is a blocking foul called on the play. Tie game so far, 6-6 between Georgia Tech and Duke. 4 turnovers for the Blue Devils.
And those are all projections by our Charlie Buckets, Charlie Brackets, Charlie Cream.
Nadedo to the basket is good.
Georgia Tech staying in that zone.
Mela Emsbo on the floor for Duke, gets it back in the paint.
Duke's not a great three-point shooting team, and Duke definitely has the athleticism over Georgia Tech. That's part of the reason why Nell Fortner has gone to this defense. Nell typically likes man-to-man. You got to do what you got to do.
And on cue, an athletic move to the basket by Donovan. She has 6 of Duke's 8. Oluchi Okananwa, the ACC 6th player of the year on the floor, number 5. A freshman for the Blue Devils, defending right now and grabbing the rebound. That's what she does.
Well, she's a tremendous rebounder from the guard spot. Got a great motor. Coach Lawson calls her relentless on the boards. She was telling us today about in preseason, nobody could keep her off the glass. And she realized she was that kind of a rebounder. Nareda doing a great job of getting in the paint, scoring at the front of the rim, and then on that back row behind that zone.
Okananwa had a massive game, 21 points in the regular season meeting against Georgia Tech. 9 rebounds in that game as well. And Richardson able to draw the foul. That is the first on Nareda. Duke shooting a really good percentage. They're 67%. Turnovers of what have hurt them the most on the offensive end. Rusna Ugustaneta, number 23, the freshman from Lithuania on the floor. 3-point threat for Georgia Tech, but always a threat is number 5, Tonie Morgan, misses on the drive. Duke looking to run, but it is too far up ahead. slow pace to this game. Is that what you expect?
Rock fight. Shrink the court, shrink possessions.
And then take some points in transition when you can get them. Defense to offense for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, you got to give Coach Lawson some credit for that, because they turned it over the last time, and she looked at her team and she encouraged them to keep pushing the pace. If you had done something different, you wouldn't have gotten that layup on that play.
Blackshear, junior, using her right, short off the front of the rim.
I mean, she countered, and you need to go around the size, not try to go over it.
Richardson, short corner shot is good.
So back-to-back transition buckets. Timeout for Nell Fortner and Georgia Tech. It's a good timeout. The Blue Devils are on the run.
We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's going to happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
Duke Blue Devils have made 4 of their last 5. They're on a 6-0 run over the last 2 minutes, opening up a 4-point lead over Georgia Tech.
They're small, but they're fast. They're quick and they're athletic.
So what is the recipe for success for Georgia Tech to get back on this end?
You heard Angel talking about it at pregame. You got to move the ball. You got to get them in rotation. Then you got to find the matchup because they'll switch. And you got to keep cutting hard. This is a hard-cutting Georgia Tech team.
Augustaneta really struggled in the regular season meeting. Was 0 for 10, 0 for 4 from 3 against the Blue Devils. Mayer a little helter-skelter on that shot. Kick out of bounds.
The one thing with the young team, and you're seeing it with Kara Lawson's team right now, they're so quick and athletic, they speed up the tempo on the defensive end. But sometimes they play a little too quick on the offensive end.
Richardson now has 4. The run now 8-0 in favor of the Blue Devils. There was a lot of contact. You could say Kara Dunn was trying to come up and set a screen. Richardson defending her, had her hands in her back, and it was Richardson who was called for the foul.
Freedom of movement, always an emphasis in the game.
Joe Vasili, Talisa Green, Billy Smith are officials for this game tonight. Just 2 points in the game for Morgan, 2 points for Dunn. A slow start offensively, and this one goes out of bounds.
7 seconds on the shot clock. Good defense by Duke to get a deflection.
Augustaneta off the inbounds, well off the mark. Shot for 3 is good from Okananwa.
Okananwa, 37% three-point shooter, and she's dangerous. Because you got to come with a long closeout, but she also has that quick first step.
Done. Georgia Tech needing some fuel on this end of the floor, unable to find it.
Last possession here, Jen.
Duke on an 11-0 run.
Duke, Georgia Tech switching to his own in the middle of the possession.
Okananwa will try it again, almost the same spot, not the same result. There are 0.8 of a second left, and it is Georgia Tech ball. And Georgia Tech is just going to let the buzzer sound. Hopefully they can reset a little bit in the second quarter as Duke starting to take over.
11 points in 1 possession. Run the offense hard, set screens, backdoor, do the little things that we're used to doing throughout the season. One person can't do it by themselves, so just reassuring them that they can get it done on the offense.
And they do there, Angel. By the way, I think that was Angel's reassuring voice. That was very nice.
They got 7 points off of their offensive rebounding. 7 of their 11. And when you play Duke, if you don't have your pressure package already in, ball fake, shot fake, backdoor cuts, dribble entries, high post entries, if you don't already have those things in your offensive concepts, it's going to be challenging. Off the offensive rebound, good relocation to the perimeter. It's a great time to get a 3. Some say the best time.
And Kara Dunn has the potential to really explode. Had 2 30-point games this season, including in a heck of a game that Georgia Tech played at NC State that went to overtime. And Tonie Morgan now starting to feel it.
One of the best games all season in the ACC.
Yeah.
Back-to-back triples for Georgia Tech. The reassurance of Coach Fortner, according to Angel, has paid off here off the timeout.
Well, a couple of threes helping the Yellow Jackets' cause, making this a 3-point game. Dunn, thought about it.
There's a big mismatch there.
Morgan saw it, went right inside to Blackshear.
Timeout Duke. Good recognition by Tonie Morgan.
And that is an 8-0 Georgia Tech run to counter what Duke was doing in the first. Georgia Tech starting to knock down some triples, finding their way back in. Wondering about that Liz Kitley injury.
Look, 38% for Notre Dame. Let me say this. Syracuse swept them in the regular season, and NC State beat them head-to-head. So it's interesting to me that the analytics have Notre Dame ahead of both of those teams. We'll see, all you bettors out there.
I gotta let it play out. Ashlyn Jackson coming out of that timeout with a 3 for the Blue Devils. And then on the other end, Augustineta has her first points.
Back to the zone off made baskets by Georgia Tech.
Donovan, 6 points in the first quarter. Back out to Mayer.
That's a tough shot.
Nearly bailed out with the offensive rebound from Richardson. It will stay on this end of the floor.
Jackson with a lot of confidence right here. Here she is right here with a shot. Nice job stepping into one. Wide open.
Another 3 off the inbounds. Duke shot the ball really well from 3, made 13 triples in the regular season win against Georgia Tech. Blackshear pulls up for 2.
Yeah, Blackshear doing a good job using her reverse footwork to step away and create space from the shot blocker, Kennedy Brown.
Richardson, too strong. Brown gets the rebound.
Nice decision right there. Remember we talked to Coach Lawson about decision-making for Mayer. That was a better three-point shooter. Wide open, so you make one more pass.
Ashlyn Jackson has now made 48 triples on the season. That's the most by any Blue Devil. She has 2 in this game. Morgan's going to be called here, hooking the arm around offensively.
Kennedy Brown feels the double off the offensive rebound. And again, nice one more. Swing, swing is what we would call that.
Three-point Blue Devil lead. Each team had their successive runs. 11-0 run by Duke, countered by an 8-0 run by Georgia Tech to start this quarter. Now here we are, one possession game. Jump ball, and Blue Devils have it. Another turnover. 7 of them in the game so far for Duke.
So Coach Lawson's going to break down that film, and she's going to want Richardson to have 2 hands on the ball.
Sydney Johnson, grad transfer from Boston University, bringing the ball down the floor for Georgia Tech. Wraps around the bounce pass into the paint. And then it is tapped away by one of the best shot blocking teams in the country. Mayer going to the basket.
So she makes a good decision, and then she makes a questionable one, and then she makes a good decision. Her shot selection hasn't been good early. But watch Mayer right here get a piece of this. That's a great play right there. Then she comes down the other end, and sometimes players think if they made the defensive play, they get to take the shot. Doesn't always work like that.
Okananwa back on the floor now for Duke. She's got 5 points in the game.
Nell Fortner just trying to steal some minutes right here at the point to give Tonie Morgan a break.
Winner of this game, as this goes out of bounds despite some valiant effort from Okananwa. But the winner of this game takes on NC State.
That's twice Sydney Johnson crossing midcourt, not confident with the ball. She picked it up on the logo, and then this time trying to throw the flare pass over the top.
Saw the Wolfpack taking it in. Sorry, Debbie.
Yeah, so watch what happens right here with Okananwa. She's going to eat this up.
Ball is swung over for 3, but not the touch Augustineta hoping for. Jackson gets it to Okananwa, takes her time, had maybe more of an open look at the basket than she thought.
Playing too fast.
Okananwa pounding Augustineta defensively. And now takes it away.
That's what happens when you pick the ball up on the top of the floor against Duke. They shut down the passing lanes, and they have been aggressive in their defense up the line.
How about that time? Okananwa made the steal and then took the assist on the other end of the floor. Really unselfish play from the freshman. 10 seconds to shoot for Dunn in Georgia Tech. Augustineta looking at the shot clock, has to take a deep 3 off the front of the rim.
That was Caitlin Clark range.
A few players in the country who can lay claim to that being green light territory, but that right there, that spot, that is green light territory for Ashlyn Jackson. That's her 3rd 3 of the night. Timeout, Georgia Tech.
The Duke D cranking it up. Strips Georgia Tech and lays it in for a 2-on-1, and then the defense gets sucked into the paint and wide open outside the arc. Jackson for 3.
All 11 of Ashlyn Jackson's points, all 3 of those triples coming here in the second quarter.
Let's talk the improvement of Ashlyn Jackson. We were talking with Coach before the game, and we talked about her ascension. She said, well, she was bad in January, and so I brought her in the office, and I just told her that. She said it was a little nicer than that, though, but she said, I'm proud of her now. She was the 10th player off the bench last year. You already mentioned, Debbie, that they lost 7 of their top 9 players. She had to come in this year knowing that she was going to try and fight for time. Now with DeJesus being out due to an injury, she's the backup point guard, but over this stretch in February, she's grown more confident in her shot, understanding what she needs to do for the team. 3 threes already in this game. She is a huge boost for them offensively.
Coach Lawson didn't put her in the big games. You know, she only averaged 3 points last year. She's averaging 9 this year. She's off to a great start here in the ACC tournament.
Morgan could not connect that pass inside to Blackshear.
Duke made 13 threes when they met the first time in January, Jen. They crushed them on the glass. 84 points, that's a big number for the Blue Devils to put on the board offensively.
Yeah, I think it's fair that we talk their defense first, but as Carol Lawson told us, their offense really is much improved this season. And it is a 10-0 run now with that two from Donovan and the largest lead of the game.
They overload the zone on the strong side, and then they throw it back and do a nice job of scoring in the paint.
Tough drive, and there is a foul on the play. You'd said that at one of the timeouts earlier, that Nels Fortner would be looking to get this Georgia Tech team to the free throw line. Now Tonie Morgan is going to have the first free throws of the game for the Jackets.
Tonie Morgan at the line.
Oh no, excuse me, there was one. We had an and one opportunity earlier, so this the second trip to the line for the Jackets, and it's a miss on the first attempt. Second one falls through for Morgan. She has 6 points in the game. She averages almost 16 in conference play. Both she and Dunn leading the way offensively, points-wise. Dunn at 16.7 points per game in ACC play this season. Richardson's been the leading scorer for Duke. And this will stay with the Blue Devils. 20 on the shot clock. Duke inbounding it right in front of the NC State Wolfpack, the team they hope they have another opportunity to see tomorrow in the quarterfinals. Duke split against NC State during the regular season. Shot fake, and then the shot from Ariadna Termas. No field goals since almost 5 minutes, since it was 7:01 on the clock for the Yellow Jackets. Duke, on the other hand, finding the bottom of the basket.
Guarding the three-point line has been a challenge. Great balance by Duke, scoring inside in the paint and knocking down wide-open triples.
Duke shooting 50% from three for the game, 5 for 10 and 4 for 7 in this quarter. Crossover, and then the shot. Still no field goals for the Jackets. The drought continues. 15-1 run, Duke. Mayer. Hensbo, good for 2, maybe one more.
They're getting whatever they want right now. Anything Duke dials up, they are delivering. They're playing with a much more composed pace. Their execution is outstanding. They're moving the ball, making the extra pass. And this time, a quick hitter in transition. Naked side two-man game.
Blue Devils coming in as the 7 seed. About the great run they had last year, really based off of a strong defense, finished 2nd in the ACC. Now trying to make sure they have an extended stay here in Greensboro.
And you wonder if Georgia Tech gets into their legs a little bit here. This is a really important last 1 minute, 30 seconds. They could probably get 2 or 3 possessions out of this. They need to score.
And a foul on the floor against Duke.
That's just their 4th team foul, or excuse me, 2nd team foul.
Jackson picking up her first. And you can see the numbers there, the drought for Georgia Tech and the subsequent run for Duke. Tell there was a foul on that shot attempt. And McCable fouling the shooter. That will send Georgia Tech to the line. That'll be Inez Naredo. Laredo, a 78% free throw shooter on the season. Georgia Tech as a team, just over 70%. And they've left some points on the table in this one from the line. Jackson can't add to her 11 points that she has in this quarter. Georgia Tech looking for some momentum here before the halftime break. Ensbo thought she had the block. Instead, it's a foul and a potential three-point play.
This is just good ball movement. Look at the skip over the top, the seal and the mismatch, the help, and then the basket cut. Once your post player goes to help, it's exactly what you're supposed to do. Get in her vision, nice drop down pass.
Aisha Won Arana cannot get the three-point play. That was Georgia Tech's first field goal in quite some time. You saw the drought. Under a minute to go in the second quarter. Duke feeling pretty good about what they're doing on both ends, but the turnovers could be the stat that comes back to haunt them if Georgia Tech is to get back in this game. Inside go the Jackets. Blackshear off the glass and in.
Got to get a stop right here if you're Georgia Tech. Gain a little momentum going into the locker room. Duke flattening it out. Tonie Morgan dropping below the three-point line.
Mayer. Cable for three, no. And there will not be a shot in time for Georgia Tech. So the Duke Blue Devils with a 12-point lead at the half over.
Deplete or alleviate all of the threes that they have in transition.
Thanks so much, Angel. Georgia Tech starting off with the basketball. Around and in. That's a good way to get things started. Done with the first points of the third quarter.
Georgia Tech staying in that zone. They got to guard the three-point line out of the zone.
Drive, the dish to perfection. Kennedy Brown with the bucket. Some tough defense being played right there by Donovan.
I mean, it's three-level defense. It's great ball pressure. It's rotation in the gaps. And then there's rim protection in the back by Kennedy Brown, who's their best shot blocker. Watch this swipe through, get a piece of the paint, and then throw it over the top. It's a great find by Tonie Morgan. She sees the floor so well. And then a nice drop down, little pocket pass inside to Kennedy Brown to finish at the rim. It's amazing what happens, Jen, when you move the ball side to side and you rotate it. You take it below the free throw line, you flatten out the defense, and then the top of the floor opens up.
Three-pointer up and short. Off the mark on that attempt, and then quickly down the floor, Richardson opts to pull it back out. Duke is led by as many as 17 in this game. Richardson picks up her dribble, 6 on the shot clock.
Good D by Dunn. Well, I don't know who Mayer was passing that ball to. Kennedy Brown was behind the defense.
9th turnover by the Blue Devils. That's the biggest blemish in their statistics so far in this game.
Well, they don't really have a positive turnover margin. You know, they're good on the glass, +5, but they average 17 turnovers.
Well, a burst of speed there as Morgan made her way to the basket. Tonie Morgan, an ACC all-freshman team selection last year, and had a really good ACC tournament debut, 18 points, which was then a career high in a loss to Boston College last year for Georgia Tech. And then 24 points yesterday in the win against Pitt.
You got to really understand point guard play, and what Tonie Morgan is doing is learning from one of the greatest coaches, not just in college basketball, but internationally. A gold medal, 3 Coach of the Year honors in 3 Power 5 leagues. Nobody's done that. And Nell Fortner sees the game and understands, and Tonie's development under Nell has skyrocketed.
Tonie coming to Georgia Tech from Tallahassee, Florida. Land of the Seminoles, but opted to go for the Yellow Jackets.
Oh, you got to give her the ball there. She's too open in the middle. Look, nice half hook by Kennedy Brown.
Brown taking advantage in the paint. She has 6 points. Nice moves by Morgan. Starting to heat up a little bit, but cannot get it to fall. And then there's a foul. It'll be on Blackshear, her second.
Watch Kennedy Brown right here in the middle of your screen. Watch how she shapes up to the ball. Her numbers and her hands. And it's a double bury in the paint. 2 feet in the paint. Nice half hook. Not bad for 6'6" in the front of the rim.
Donovan found an opening in the middle of the paint and then got it back to Brown.
Duke is really doing a good job of moving the ball inside that zone. They get it into the playmaking spot in the middle around the logo, and they're working behind the Georgia Tech zone.
Kennedy Brown, senior on this young Duke Blue Devil team. Transfer from Oregon State. She spent 3 years before coming to Duke last year. And then a foul as Georgia Tech trying to get to the basket. And that is the first on Brown.
You know, one of the things I love about the ACC and why the league is so competitive is because of the incredible point guards we have. Here's the old guards, Georgia Amar and Sanaya Rivers and Deja Fair and Deja Kelly, right? Those are the players that are upperclassmen. Look what they do. But how about some new guys this year? We have some freshmen and sophomores that have been outstanding. Hidalgo is everyone's top of the list conversation. Kamora Johnson, we saw her yesterday. Tonie Morgan and Tanaya Latson is just a sophomore. Doesn't it feel like she's been around the league 5 years already? I mean, these guards can play, and this is why ACC teams have an opportunity to go deeper into the NCAA tournament. They have excellent guard play, and you have to have that in March in the NCAA tournament.
Get a chance to see Tanaya Latson in Florida State. That's coming up in our final game here in Greensboro later tonight as they take on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Donovan adds to the scoring. It had been all Kennedy Brown in this quarter for Duke.
At some point, Nell Fortner is going to have to change the rhythm of her defense. Maybe not yet, because it might be too early to press, but as long as Tonie Morgan doesn't wear down. This is just great. Going to her right hand, to her strong hand. Good take to the middle of the rim, and then Tonie Morgan off the right hand. Again, you got to force her weak. She can get by any defender with that quick first step.
And Morgan taking advantage from the free throw line. She's 6 of 8 from the line, has 13 points in the game. Okananwa picked up the foul on that last play on Morgan's drive and now travels.
Tonie Morgan went 10 for 13 from the free throw line last night in the game against Pitt. So she's capable of getting to the line if she doesn't wear down. So now Sydney Johnson's going to come in the game and try to take some pressure off of Tonie Morgan having to handle the ball.
Always the challenge once you get to tournament time, playing these back-to-back days of games. And that's going to be a foul on Morgan. Setting the screen, her second personal. Wake Forest Demon Deacons, they weren't quite ready to go home yet. The Deeks sticking around here in Greensboro, got the win as a 14 seed over Virginia yesterday. As I mentioned, they will be taking on Florida State later tonight. That one slated to tip off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern right here on ACCN.
Duke is so aggressive off the bounce. They get in the gaps, they move the ball, they play unselfishly, and Kennedy Brown, throw it on the block. Let 6-6 go to work.
She's been unstoppable in this quarter. 8 points in the quarter, 10 in the game for Kennedy Brown. And a tie-up's going to give it back to the Blue Devils. 9th turnover by the Jackets.
Here we go, Devils, here we go. Here we go, Devils, here we go. Here we go, Devils, here we go. Here we go, Devils,
Richardson.
here we go.
This Blue Devil team really moving the ball well offensively. Okananwa couldn't knock down the three. There is a foul as Brown is a little slow to get up. And that is a third foul on Sydney Johnson for Georgia Tech. Fourth team foul. Off the inbounds, but won't fall. Morgan looking inside. She's had the last 7 points for Georgia Tech, but Duke really looking good in the quarter. Blue Devils have found a way to score on the inside, get stops on the defensive end. They're looking to move on here.
Said I got to MC and referee. It was fun. Got to put the old jersey on for a minute.
Yeah, Ivory Latta taking the title from Kelly Gramlich. I noticed you said you and Angel wanted to get involved, and I did not hear an invitation for myself.
You can pass it to me if
yeah,
you want,
I
Jen.
was going to come and rebound. Look, I think we could have used me out there, to be honest. It is a fun event.
Georgia Tech so far has played even here in the third quarter. They're going to have to get a couple of stops. Oh, nice backdoor. Great setup off the timeout. When a team is overplaying, at some point you got to go backdoor. What a great call by Nell Fortner to get it back to 10.
And Dunn now in double digits with 10. Duke offensively really sharing the ball well. You might have seen going to break 18 assists on their 21 made field goals. And Mayer, a big part of that. 7 assists in the game already.
Duke doesn't give up too many transition opportunities. They do a good job of getting back off the missed shot.
So as you said, Georgia Tech has played Duke even. In fact, now they're +2 in this quarter, but they were down 12 at the half. The Blue Devils still in command. Okananwa trying to stop her.
If you don't see 2 hips in front of you or 2 shoulders, you keep going.
Up and down we go. Dunn thought she had an opportunity in transition. As you said, those are few and far between against this Duke team. Okananwa. Batted around by both teams. And it's going to go the other way.
Watch Okananwa right here. Like, boom, she is gone. Look how hard Duke runs the floor. And Donovan runs to the middle, to the front of the lane, and it creates some space. And Okananwa, nobody stops the ball. And she gets all the way to the rim.
It's like, you know, dogs have those agility contests and like a dog show, and they just weave through everybody real quick. I mean, she was just weaving through whoever was in her path.
You ever called a dog show before?
No, but I'd like to. So, you can help me out with that, would be great.
Yeah, I'll get you a gig. I'll get you a dog show gig.
Foul here on Richardson. That's her second. And that is a 15 foul, so it's going to put Georgia Tech on the free throw line. Jackets 70% free throw shooting team for the season. That number did jump up a little bit in conference play to about 72%.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for Georgia Tech to put some points on the board here by staying aggressive and attacking that up the line, overplaying defense of Duke.
And Dunn is the player you'd want on the line if you're Georgia Tech. She leads the team, has converted 83% of her free throws in conference play this season.
She's 4 for 9 from the floor. She needs to get going here offensively and get hot.
Richardson. No good on the three-point attempt, but how about another? Picks it back up, gives Duke another chance. Okananwa. Emsbo, Brown both on the floor inside. Emsbo with the reverse.
You can't give up baseline there. You got to push her back into the help. Nice move though on the baseline.
Emsbo, first year with the Blue Devils after spending 4 years at Yale. Spin and a little too much movement on Dunn as she travels.
Nell Fortner trying to get Dunn going offensively. Watch this right here. You got to cut off the baseline. Wow, that's a long step across the lane, isn't it?
Long legs, that helps. Give her the benefit of the doubt there. Jackson hands it up inside, and Emsbo's going to the free throw line.
I'm wondering if fatigue is starting to play a role right here in Georgia Tech because they've lost their focus a little bit, right? Screen, roll. Shooter in the corner, hard to pinch. Morgan trying to help. I'm telling you what, Duke is running some good stuff. They are executing at a high level. They're sharing the basketball, as we've already indicated.
19 assists now on 24 made field goals for the Blue Devils. Be sure that's a percentage that would make any coach happy. And the lead back to 15 for Duke. Gustaneta gets the bucket. Some contact inside as Emsbo was trying to get positioning, and that's 4 fouls on Blackshears, having a tough time, especially in this quarter, bottling up Emsbo. Emsbo, an 83% free throw shooter. She's 2 for 2 so far in the game. Out. Okananwa wound up in a split on the floor somehow. Okananwa back on the floor. Morgan looking to find the advantage, and she does find Blackshear. Stays on the floor with those 4 fouls.
Well, when Kara Lawson goes to this big lineup with Brown and Emsbo on the floor, that's a lot of frontline size for Georgia Tech to contend with. You got to get them spread out, spaced out, and get them chasing some smaller players off some screening action. So now Coach Lawson's going to go back to the smaller lineup with just 1 big.
So the basket did not count. Foul coming before. So Blackshear will have 2 free throws. Mayer has handled the point guard duties primarily for Duke this season since transferring from Boston College, where she was an all-freshman team selection last year. Jackson. Brown steps back for the three.
She has made 6 this year, but she's a career 25% three-point shooter.
Well, shot selection perhaps wanting for both teams those last 2 possessions. That was a good look for Okananwa, an offensive rebound by Mayer.
Here we go, Devils. Here we go. Here we go, Devils. Here we go. Here we go,
Georgia Tech needs to stop here. They're going to get the ball back. Going to call it an illegal screen on the top of the floor by Donovan. That'll be her third.
Donovan really got off to a fast start in this game. Had 6 points in the first quarter. Has cooled off a little bit since, or maybe it's just that the Blue Devils have spread the love. They've had players go on individual streaks. It's been Emsbo in this quarter. She's got 6 points, along with 8 for Kennedy Brown. Not a lot of movement. Now things starting to get going for Georgia Tech. The three from Don won't go. Chance for the rebound and another shot. But Morgan of this game will take on the second-seeded Wolfpack. Duke and NC State split during the regular season, and Georgia Tech lost at NC State in overtime in that unforgettable game. Dunn off the glass and in. She'll certainly not forget it. She had the 3 to force overtime against the Wolfpack. 7 made threes, 31 points in the losing effort.
Georgia Tech extending the top of their zone just a little bit to try to put some ball pressure on Duke. They got to really communicate here, not give up threes. They've done a better job of guarding the three-point line, but Duke has been able to get points in the paint.
All 8 Duke field goals came in the paint in the third quarter.
I mean, 2 hard dribbles to the elbow, and it's a pull-up 15-footer. All you need is 2 dribbles.
Agustineta. Good on the pull-up.
Good job working off the screening action from the weak side. And then again, a blow-by Duke. Kennedy Brown there on the glass.
Too easy on the other end for Brown and the Blue Devils. So all that good work on this end negated by giving it up on the other end for Georgia Tech. Agustineta.
She has the capability of getting hot, though. I think she needs to hunt a few more shots. She is their best three-point shooter.
Brown keeping that paint. Blue Devil blue in the second half. They have owned it. Plus 14 in the paint are the Blue Devils for the game. Morgan pulls up short, but gets her own rebound. Dunn asking for Morgan to come and get it. And now Morgan will drive with the left, up and over Brown, no easy task.
Here's a really good teaching point for young players. Ball fake, 2 hard dribbles. That's all you need. And Brown, 1 dribble to the midline. That's all you need. Really nice, very well executed.
14 points in the game for Kennedy Brown. She only averages 8 on the season. But Taina Mayer and the rest of the Blue Devils aware of who has the hot hand, and it is number 42 right now.
I mean, look at the sprint by Richardson.
Oh, too much.
Yeah, that's a travel. But you know what? I love how hard they run the floor. They run it wide, they run it hard. Watch her sprint. She's getting out ahead of the basketball, so it's an option. That's 1, 2, 3. That's a travel.
Needed to be 1 step closer to make that
Or
go.
dribble
Right.
once.
Yep. She ran the floor so hard, though, as you pointed out.
I love that. I mean, it's such a good offensive habit to have.
Done. Georgia Tech has just not been able to get the three to fall consistently in this game. 3 for 12 from downtown. Brown just daring this Georgia Tech team to try to stop her.
Can't have many empty possessions here for Georgia Tech. You've got to score. You want to put some game pressure on Duke. Oh, nice step through, drawing the foul.
And that is Inez Nareda. She will head to the free throw line. And that's a third foul on Reagan Richardson. Georgia Tech needing to make up some points, see if they can get them from the free throw line. Let's take a look, Debbie, at our star stories for players that have been crushing it. Brought to you by Crush.
I mean, look at the percentages right across the board. 7 for 9 for Brown, 3 for 5 from the three-point line, all in the first half for Jackson. And then Jaden Donovan, you can't get much more efficient than that. And she helped set a tone defensively. There's those 2 hard dribbles to the elbow.
You get to the fourth quarter, and this is where maybe you start to feel those extra games you've had to play mount if you're a team like Georgia Tech that had to play yesterday to make it to this game against Duke. Morgan, acrobatic move to the basket.
I could watch Tonie Morgan play all day. She's fantastic. She's been under the radar. Not many people talking about her, certainly not on the national scene. Coaches in this league know how talented she is.
What do you think is the next piece that Nell Fortner needs for this Georgia Tech team? You've got Morgan, a sophomore. You've got Dunn, a sophomore, who are 2 really talented guards. So what else is this team maybe lacking or that needs to take that next step?
I think a back-to-the-basket post player might help her, one that can effectively score on the block. A long, athletic 3, you know, to complement the backcourt. Can always have more depth. But you know what? Coach Fortner is so good, it won't just be a system, it will be to the talents of her team. So she'll try to get the best athlete she can get with the best skill set. That's what you got to have in this league.
A steal here. Won't be turned into immediate points. Donovan thought she had the block. Instead, it is a foul. That's the 4th on Jaden Donovan.
The reaction by Donovan made you think that they called a foul on her. I think they just called the ball out of bounds.
I think you're right, yeah. Yep, no foul on the play. That's a foul. Yep. And that's going to put Augustineta on the free throw line. Emsbo picking up her second.
Team foul number 4.
So Rusna Augustineta, the freshman out of Lithuania. By the way, Georgia Tech, with the number of international players that they have, to give them a lot of credit, they have my favorite pronunciation aid, which is they have the players saying their own name for us. They have the video and the audio that we can listen to. And so I've listened to her say her name multiple times. And I think sometimes she says it a little differently. So if you've heard different pronunciations this year, that may be why. But that's how we heard it, so that's what we're going with.
Don't you have to worry about that with all the international soccer that you call?
Yes. And that's why I'm so appreciative anytime I get audio. Hear it straight from the player's mouth. That's the most reliable source.
Good job by Morgan.
Another turnover, and Georgia Tech fighting back.
Yep, they're changing the tempo right now. Nell Fortner is going to put on the full court pressure here, and it's resulted in 1 turnover. You got to get a few possessions. Now you got to be careful. You haven't given up any threes. When you press, you open up the floor on the backside. You have to make sure your transition defense from your pressure up front to the backside is solid.
No foul on the play here, so Georgia Tech's going to get it back.
You get 2 turnovers off of changing your defense.
4 turnovers this quarter for the Blue Devils, 16 in the game. Morgan. Blackshear couldn't hang on to the offensive rebound, so Duke down the floor the other direction.
Duke wants to be careful here that they don't try to just take time, that they stay aggressive. And I guarantee you that they're going to run some floppy right here. I guarantee you that Coach Lawson goes through every situation in practice.
4 on the shot clock. Richardson had it batted away. Morgan got her hand to it. Now, Georgia Tech certainly fighting for it. They've changed their defense. They've gotten some results. Donovan still on the floor. But Duke still in the lead, and they have been really good in the paint and how dominant they can be in the paint. 7/10 of a second here, Debbie, sorry.
Playmakers is what I would say to that, Jen. That is what Coach Lawson talked about on the offensive end and on the defensive end, and we've seen that tonight. They have played a complete game on both sides of the ball. Now, can they finish it, or can Georgia Tech make a run right here?
Now, Georgia Tech has started to use their defense and some playmaking to try to get back into this.
A bucket makes it a single-digit deficit, and they haven't been there in a while. So this could be huge right here. A couple of free throws, apply the press, get another turnover. That's how you swing the momentum of the game.
Ladies, when you were just talking about Duke, we're seeing the balance now, but it was a process throughout this season. Coach Lawson was talking about having so many freshmen on her squad earlier in the season, having to coach them through a lot of different things. She said, now I could tell them the scouting report and they can actually do what's on the scouting report. Before, that was not the case. So we're seeing them understanding their roles now, but also that balance. Everyone knows that Duke is a defensive team coming into this back-to-back seasons. They're the #1 defense in the ACC. Now we're seeing how many weapons they have on the floor.
Well, on the season, they're #1 in the ACC in scoring, D, less than 58 points a game. If Georgia Tech can turn them over right here, they're trying to speed up the pace to increase the number of possessions. And also keep in mind, Georgia Tech only has 1 team foul with 2 timeouts remaining.
Mayer open from the corner. Brown on the glass. Another offensive rebound. This time it's Okananwa. Freshman out of Boston, Massachusetts, just springs into the air for the rebounds.
They've been run and done off that flare screen, and Duke has guarded it very well.
Duke has had plenty of success at the ACC tournament. 8 times the Blue Devils have won the ACC tournament title. They won 5 in a row from 2000 to 2004, their last coming in 2013. So it's been a while. Semi-final appearance last year where they lost to the eventual champions from Virginia Tech.
Well, you let somebody cut across the front of your face and let them catch it that deep. Good footwork inside. You have to jump to the ball.
11 points for Okananwa and a triple to help Georgia Tech's cause. At the moment, Georgia Tech trying to play out this defensive possession.
In a zone. Now they're going to go look to trap here.
Richardson, 3 on the shot clock. Brown had it on her fingertips, and Morgan took it away, but gives it back. Okananwa takes advantage. 6 straight by Okananwa. I feel like it's been like that for most of this game, Debbie. Every time Georgia Tech tries to mount a comeback or they gain some momentum, Duke finds a way to answer. Done. There's 2 defenders and just nowhere to go. Turns it over.
Kennedy Brown brings a big trap at 6'6" to the ball.
Ashlyn Jackson, open three, and Brown taps it over to Mayer.
Duke can run some more clock here. Coach Fortner electing not to foul.
I mean, this game has, it's even scoring in this quarter. It was a point difference in the third. Really, the first quarter is where Duke had its biggest advantage and has not relinquished the lead since.
Well, one of the problems and why Duke or Georgia Tech is in the zone late is because they've really struggled keeping the ball in front. It's a challenge, the downhill drives down the lane line into the paint. Just can't keep Duke out of the middle.
Foul before Morgan can get the shot off. Georgia Tech 17 and 14 overall, 7 and 11 in ACC play this season.
A little bit of a rebuilding year, very young backcourt. Dunn and Morgan, both sophomores, started the game talking about how they played would determine the outcome of the game because you know what kind of effort Duke's going to give on the defensive end. Dunn 5 for 14, Morgan 4 for 13.
And Morgan has been able to pick up points from the free throw line again, as she did yesterday in the win against Pitt, but 19 points in the game for her. And just 33% from the floor as a team for Georgia Tech in the game. Timeout on the floor. We'll take a quick break as well. Duke Blue Devils looking to hang on and move on.
This city is under siege by an army of goats.
On Georgia Tech season.
Georgia Tech trying to trap out of their zone.
6 on the shot clock. Brown got it to Okananwa. Has to get a shot off and does. 8 points in this fourth quarter for Oluchi Okananwa.
I just think Nell Fortner's team just didn't have the depth to be able to speed it up fast enough to create enough possessions. But I like that trapping zone, to be honest with you. That will be something. Put it in your notes for next year.
Timeout called. Rusna Augustineta has picked up her scoring in this fourth quarter for Georgia Tech, still down 12. Winner of this one moving on to play tomorrow. Take on the NC State Wolfpack, the second seed in this tournament. And we still have one more game to play today. Stick around with us here on ACC. And Florida State, Wake Forest. What a game that was last year here in Greensboro. If you don't remember, there was a comeback for the ages involved in that one, as Wake Forest wound up winning the game. So they get a rematch this time around.
They were down 18 and came back and won the game.
Yes, they did.
Wyckoff is in the back watching this and just heard that, and I think her stomach just flipped over 5 times.
But this time it's a Florida State team led by Tanaya Latson, as it should have been last year. But unfortunately, an injury took Tanaya out for the postseason. And she is one of those must-see players, so be sure hang out with us here in ACCN, or nothing but net crew will have you covered in between. 2 seconds to shoot. It does get off in time, but everything over, and Duke Blue Devils victorious 70-58, getting the victory over Georgia Tech.
Please don't go to the monitor and put 8.8 on the clock.
I was gonna say,
I think that's what they're getting ready to do.
I looked up and realized we were not quite done yet, despite what you see on the clock.
I know what the rule book says, however.
Well, as Joe Vasili works with the clock and figures out exactly what we've got left, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons looking to build off of their victory yesterday, getting a win against Virginia.
Listen, if they don't go to the monitor and do this, they could be downgraded for the NCAA tournament. So the officials have to do this. So all the people rolling their eyes out there, I'm with you, but that's what has to happen. It doesn't diminish certainly what an incredible job Duke did and on both ends of the floor in dominating the second half.